What's up, nail friends? Today's video is going to be a long one, including full removal before reapplication. We're going to do sculpting on forms, long stilettos. I'm going to be doing application, and then I'm also going to be showing you guys my finished filing. So basically everything that you could possibly want in a video. So hope you guys like that, and if you are interested in all of this, just keep watching. Okay, so to start the set, my client came back with an old Christmas design that we did. I have this video up on YouTube. You guys probably aren't interested because it's Christmas, but maybe you will be next year if you missed it. So check that out. It's got some color blocking techniques, so it's kind of fun. Just to pretend it's, in a different color. So the first thing I do is I remove the crystals that are on the nails, and I'm just using some old nail clippers to do that. I find that you can get right underneath the crystals with these. That's why I use them. Sometimes I'll use like old cuticle nipper kind of things too, but I switch back and forth. So then I'm going to file these nails thin and debulk them. I'm just using a bit here. This is like a tornado carbide bit. I like these to debulk. I got this from Get Buff Nails. I'll link it in my description box. So I'm starting at the cuticle area, and then I'm just going down the nail. I'm not really focusing on the very tip because I'm going to clip these. So I'm basically just debulking right in the center where her natural nail would be. Just trying to make them thinner, easier to soak off, and thinner so that I can clip them carefully without snapping her nail. So I switch back and forth between these two bits. No reason why, I don't think. I don't remember why, but I just do. I switch back and forth between the two. They're basically both just the same grit of carbide, but for some reason I was switching. I'm not sure why. So like I said, I'm just going to debulk all these nails before soaking them in acetone. Just be really careful. Ask your client numerous times, is this getting hot? Is this getting warm? And switch between her fingers so that you don't burn her. So with those same nail clippers, I'm just clipping them. Now that they're thinner, it's easier to clip, so that's what I did. I clipped them down, and then it doesn't really matter about the shape here because, like I said, we're going to be soaking these. I will get all the acrylic off, and then I will shape her free edge before I apply a form. I've skipped through a bit of this just so it's not repetitive and way too long for you guys, but after I've shortened all the nails, I'm just coming back and filing them a little bit thinner. So when I'm ready to soak these nails, I'm just going to use a little manicure bowl here, and then I'm going to use some pure acetone to put it in the container here, and then I will stick her hand in and soak it. She actually has a big cut on her ring finger, so that one nail I don't end up soaking. She does stick it in right now, but I do end up taking it out and filing that one off. So while that hand is soaking, then I come back to the second hand, and that's when I start the process all over again. And that way, that first hand gets enough time to soak while this hand is being worked on. I just wanted to show you guys the full process of me switching hands. I'm not actually going to sit here and show you guys what I just showed you, just kind of skip through, but I just wanted to make you aware that while the first hand is soaking, the other hand is being worked on. So then after I'm done all that, now that hand is soaking, and now we're coming back and we can kind of scrape off the acrylic. So how satisfying is this? I love watching it just like flake off. So you're going to want to be really careful. You're not putting a lot of pressure down. You're just gently scraping off the acrylic easily. Anything left behind will be removed during prep, so you don't have to worry about that. Just make sure you're soaking long enough so that you get this product off super easily like that. Like, look at that. So satisfying. I love it. It's the best. So after that, I am switching her hands now, and I've slowed this down just to show you guys because it is so satisfying. So I'm just trying to show you guys the whole process of everything I'm doing. So after I've removed most of the product off both hands, now we can prep these nails. So they might look a little crazy, but don't worry, they'll look nice and clean when I'm done prep. So what I've done here is I have pushed back her cuticle area, and now I'm coming in with a diamond bit to go around her cuticle area to remove any of the skin that's attached, which will cause lifting, so you gotta remove that. And then I'm using this to also file the leftover acrylic at the tip as well. So the hands will appear extremely dry, but that is because they were soaked in acetone. So we will replenish the oils at the end of service, but you don't want to do anything with oil in it at this point, even though the hands look horrible and dry, because your enhancements won't stick to the nail if there is oil on it. So at this point, after I have prepped around the cuticle area, I'm just going in with my Glitterbels files, and I am just shaping the free edge because I'm going to be sculpting on these, so I want them to be short and rounded. I'm also going up at the very tip, if you see, like this, carefully and gently, just to remove any product that was left at the tip. Everything I do is very soft with a delicate hand, no forced pressure, no aggressive pressure. You just want to be careful and make sure that your client is comfortable and you're not cutting them or hurting them or causing pain in any way. So always make sure and check in with your clients and ask, does this hurt? Is this hot? And see how they feel. That should be your main priority, should be not hurting your clients and the health of their natural nails. So now again, I'm just slowly and carefully continuing to remove the leftover acrylic at the very tip and shape the free edge. Here I'm just brushing off the dust, and now we're going to go in with some more cuticle prep. So I've switched here to a flame bit, which we sell on the Nail Throne site. I'm just going down the left side first. Then I switch my E-file to reverse, and I go down the exact same way, but down the right side, just to try to get all the skin up under there that you can't really see, but that it's there and you want to remove it. So after that, I'm switching to this bit. I've showed you guys this in my last few videos, and then I use this bit as my last part of prep, where I push the skin out of the way, and it just makes it a little bit easier for application. It just helps get any little bits that are in the way and removes anything else. It's just the perfect finishing bit. So then I wipe off all the nails, and we are done and ready for forms. So her hands are still dry, and her nails still have a tiny thin layer of acrylic on certain spots, because of course I didn't remove it all because I'm going back in with acrylic. So here I'm just applying nail forms. These are the clear Glitterbels forms. I cut them to fit underneath her nail. So if you look, the center of my client's nail is longer, the skin underneath is longer than the sides. That's going to be like most people, so you might need to adjust your forms for your client. So I usually just cut in just a tiny bit right in the center of the form, and that makes it a lot easier to push underneath the nail, because you want the form to be completely underneath both the corner sidewalls and the center of the nail, and that way you'll get the best application. So make sure there isn't any gaps on the sides. So after I've got that, I try to make sure my forms come straight out from the side view, and for force of habit, I just apply the sticker to keep the forms together underneath. When sculpting, I apply forms on 2 or 3 nails at a time, and then I'm going in here with my Glitterbels Dehydrator. I'm only applying it on the 3 nails. And then I'm going to go in with my Glitterbels Acid-Free Primer as well, just on the nail. Try not to get any products on the skin if possible. So apply less than you think you need. So here we're just going to go in and sculpt a thin base and create our stiletto. So I picked up a big bead. It is a medium to wet bead, but the more I played with it, the wetter I accidentally made it, so it was kind of drippy. So I'm just picking up the sidewalls, wiping off my brush, cleaning off my brush, wiping off my brush, then coming and pulling that clear up the form to create my stiletto. So I let it overlap the natural nail, and then I just leave that, and then I work on the form part. So it doesn't really matter if it's perfect yet or at all, because it will be filed before I apply any color or glitter or anything. So I'm gonna go down to, I think, the 9 But first I'm just trying to make sure that the sides of the acrylic go all the way to the sides of the natural nail, and then I can work on the bottom half. So I'm just pulling and dragging and patting until I get this perfect. So just push up the side walls to make sure that it goes into the sides, and then I pull and drag this down to the 9, patting the tip, cleaning off my brush, and then I'm kind of carving out my shape. You'll want your clear base to be really, really thin, but not so thin that it's bendable and won't dry. So you can see at the very tip here, I did push it up. I hit the 9 and then I pushed it back up to the 8. And that way there is a lot of product right at the very, very tip, which means it will be easy to file when I'm ready to file before application. So after I have the tip done, I'm just applying a bead near the cuticle area. So this will be my clear base to file back down to. I push it up towards the cuticle, I keep the bead behind my brush, and then I just drag it down and blend it in with that bead that I've already done on the bottom half. So I'm letting that one dry, and now we're going in and I'm just repeating that on the next nail. So I took off the form for the other nail because I bumped it, so I will replace that form after, but for now, just working on 2 nails at a time. So I always apply my bead right in the center of the free edge, trying to get it close to the side walls before pulling the product down and making my length. Then I'm cleaning off my brush, adjusting my forms. I keep my hand behind the nail. I know some people like to stick their hand underneath and hold the finger underneath, but I find that it bumps the form on the pinky finger. So because I'm on her left hand, I hold over, but when I'm doing her nails on her right hand, I hold under. So it kind of depends on what I'm doing. So if you guys are struggling with bumping your forms, maybe switch your hand placement to over top like I am here, especially on the left hand. So the brush I'm using here is my Glitterbels number 10 rose gold handle brush, and we are getting a few more of these in stock soon, so check the site for that. So I work on the tip for quite a while until I'm close to happy with it. For most of my application, for most product that I use, I try to make my shaping as perfect as I possibly can at all times. It just makes it so much easier when you want to finish file. So that means applying it the way you want it to look in the end. All application should be done so that your finished filing is minimal. Just makes it easier, better for your wrists, and just looks better overall, in my opinion. So this is just a long application of this one finger. I decided not to cut this out. I just want to show you guys how long it does take me to sculpt. So this set overall, with removal and resculpting and application and finish filing and everything, took 4 hours. So keep that in mind if you are planning to sculpt out long stiletto nails and you need to remove before. That takes time too. Removal beforehand can take around 40 minutes. Plus sculpting, application, and finish filing. So if you're going to be doing stuff like this, make sure you're charging for your time and your product. After I'm done with the ring finger, I'm going to take some pinching tools and apply it on the pinky nail, and I do that going on. So then I will leave the pinching tool on the pinky and I would start applying on the middle finger, and then I would apply the pinching tool on the ring finger and so on. But for this video, I think that the ring finger started drying, so I applied the pinching tool. You can have more pinching tools on. Sometimes I have 2 or 3 on at a time. So make sure if you're buying pinching tools that you have a few in hand for when you're sculpting. So the pinching tool just kind of sits there and it just helps create a better C-curve. You don't really need to put a lot of pressure on it or anything. You don't really need an extreme C-curve because you don't want to hurt your client. So you just want it to just kind of sit there and it will help your acrylic dry with a bit more of a C-curve. If you like that look, you totally don't need to use pinching tools. I was taught how to use pinching tools in school, and so therefore I like to use them, but it's absolutely not necessary if you don't want to use it. So I'm just going to skip ahead here. After I've applied the product on all the nails on the one hand, then we will file. So now I'm just picking up a file. It is my Glitterbels file, and now I'm just carefully filing the sidewalls. and I'm going to go across the free edge of the acrylic at the very tip, and that is just so that I can make sure it's nice and strong. So it's going to be a little bit straight at the tip, but I will make these nails really pointy and sharp in the very end. So don't worry if it's not perfectly a stiletto yet, you can always get there. So if your nail isn't thin enough, you can always file over top of them. I think I do that in a sec here. So you want to make sure that you have a nice, smooth, even application down, even so that means you need to file it a little bit more so it's nice and even. It just makes it easier when applying acrylic over top of your clear base. You don't want it to be lumpy and bumpy and just leave it. You'll want to make sure to file it so it's smooth. So here I'm just going over top of that, and that way, like I said, it will thin out the nail and make sure it's nice and even. I covered my monomer jar just so no dust flies into it and contaminate my monomer. Okay, so jumping ahead, I've filed all these nails and cleansed them so I can start with application. So now we're going to go in and apply some cover pink. I'm using Glitterbels Plush cover. I love this cover pink. You guys have probably seen me use it a lot. It's one of my favorites, if you didn't know. So I picked up this cover pink. I put it near the cuticle area. I'm using the tip of my brush to push it up towards the cuticle area. I keep the finger pointed downward when I want the product to move down the nail. I don't want any product to seep into the sidewalls. That will just create a mess and be hard to file. So you want to make sure that none of your product, seeps out of where it should be. So after I've placed it, I keep the bead behind my brush. I work my cuticle area first, and then I patting it down the nail. This isn't going to be a full nail. This is going to be sort of a baby boomer, but you guys will see why in a sec. So I'm just kind of dragging it down the nail. I'm just not really like making this perfect or anything. I'm not trying to blend the tip or anything. I'm just placing it on, blending it down, and then I'll work on the next. I'm doing this on both her nails here. I always like to apply my colored acrylic and then let it dry for a couple seconds. That way you don't have to try and fight something you've already put down by applying more product. So I just let it dry a little bit, and then I will come back to that nail. So what I'm doing here is applying the exact same thing on her pointer finger because these two nails are kind of matching. Okay, so switching back to her first hand, I'm dipping into Monomer, picking up a little bit of soft white. This is Glitterbels soft white. It is just a super light kind of translucent white. It's great for doing more natural baby boomers and smoky effects. I love this one. So I'm just doing this one on the tip just to kind of change up the look. So it's not really supposed to look like a bright baby boomer or anything. It's just like a soft, smoky white at the very tip. So I place that on the tip, faded up the nail, pat it into place, and then I'm moving on to the middle finger here. So I'm just making this nail all one color, which is the plush cover, and that is because I'm going to be doing a really pretty crystal design in the center of this. So I apply a big bead, I apply it along the line of where the natural nail meets the enhancement, and then I am just fading and pulling it down the nail. I accidentally wiped too much of that off, so I will apply more in a second. But I'm just trying to get that even. And now we're going to go in with a bead for the cuticle area. I'm just draining my bead, placing it near the cuticle area, wiping the liquid out of my brush, and then I'm coming back, working my cuticle area like I normally do, trying to push that close to the cuticle, and then I'm wiping the product down to blend it in with the bottom half of the nail. And then I'm blending the very rest of the product in with the bottom half. So when nails are this long, you'll definitely need more than 1 or 2 beads unless you have like a crazy big brush or something, but I'm just using a size 10. So I do need to add a few layers of this color to build it up to get an even application. Because you can see in the center, it wasn't even there. So I'm just applying another bead where I would do an apex, flattening it, wiping off my brush, making sure there's less liquid in my brush, wiping off my brush again, there was still too much liquid in it. Working around the sides, and then I'm going to blend and fade this down with the bottom half of that color. I pull her finger down, and that way make sure that the product stays put or goes down the nail and doesn't spread out into the cuticle area or anything. let gravity help me. And I just keep cleaning off and wiping off my brush so that the product doesn't stick to it. And then I'm just blending it down and patting and pulling and trying to get this down the nail. I still have that line there, so I'll have to add more product where that line is, which is what I'm doing right now. Picking up more, applying it along that line, cleaning off my brush, patting, wiping, and blending. So I just keep working on this nail in that center until I get that line to go away. So I'm just going to leave this like it is for now and come back to it later. Maybe I'll encapsulate it, I don't remember. But now we're going in and we're going to do like a marble design on her middle finger and her thumb. So I'm triple dipping. I went into the soft white first, dipped into clear, and then dipped into carbon black. Just picked up a small bead of those 3 products, put it near the cuticle area, and just wiped it down the nail. Then I'm putting on the soft white, dipping into carbon black. Didn't wipe off my brush, just pulling that wet product through each other. It'll create a really cool smoky see-through look, which is exactly what I was going for. And then I'm just blending anything that isn't drying down the nail. And then we're just going to keep doing that, applying the soft white, dipping into the carbon black, sticking it in, and swirling it together. You don't want to work with it too much because you don't want these to bleed and look grainy or just look like a mess. You want that kind of like smoky look. So minimal playing, just place it and pull the colors together and then just leave it. Don't overwork it. So I put down the carbon black this time and then I'm going in with the soft white. I'm using my middle finger on the hand that's holding her nail to support my pinky, which will help support my brush and help me do my marbling. So I'm just going to let that dry a little bit, and then I'm going to go into my monomer, into Royalty. This is a glitter. You can't see it right now, but it's in the corner there in this shot. It's just kind of like a soft gold glitter from Glitterbels called Royalty. And then I'm dipping from Royalty into some laser glitters I got from the nail team. These are just some holographic glitters. They're nice and different sizes, so I feel like they're really fun to use. So I'm dipping into clear, dipping into Royalty, and then dipping into more of those laser glitters. I'm using rose and amber. It's kind of, if you mix them, it kind of looks rose gold, so that's why I did that. But I also wanted the gold in there because I'm going to be adding some gold stars, so I want them to all be cohesive, everything to kind of match. So I just play with this nail, adding that glitter until I'm happy with it. I don't want the glitter to overpower and take over the marble effect, so you just kind of strategically place the glitter, which is what I'm doing. Just strategically placing it down. And I'm just placing some in the corner as well. Then I'm going into clear acrylic and picking up some of these stars. The stars I got from Glitter Heaven, Australia a long time ago. So I just poured them out on a paper towel. That way I can see what the size is and I can pick and choose which size I want and where to place it. So this is such a pretty nail. I love it so much. I repeated it on my thumb here. So I actually sped this up for you guys but I wanted to show you because it's so pretty. So I went down with the black. I didn't bother going in with the cuticle bead. I wanted that empty space in the corner there. So go in with the black, in with the white, and then I use the tip of my brush to pull the colors into each other. I really loved the way this thumb ended up turning out. I love the spaces in between where you get the see-through clear. I just think that this design turned out so pretty. So after that is done, we can encapsulate these. That thumb is drying, so I'm going back to the pinky, and now I'm encapsulating it. I've picked up a small bead of clear acrylic glass slippers from Glitterbels, and I'm placing it at the very tip. I'm going to work the tip bead before I go in and create more of an apex. Just trying to get my tip to be thick enough so that you don't accidentally snap it. Make sure that you're applying more product than you think you need at the very tip. I find that with stilettos, people sometimes will kind of apply enough product but not at the tip, and then they break the tip, and then they're wondering why the tip broke, and that's why. So make sure you're applying enough product at the tip. So now I'm applying my cuticle bead. I placed it down. I keep the bead behind my brush. I work my cuticle area. Then I drag the bead down into the bottom half. This day, my room was super cold because it's winter, and so my acrylic was drying a little bit slower than it normally does. So I don't think I showed it in this video because I think I turned off my camera, but I apply my beads like this, then I moved on to the next nail. And while the pinky is drying, apply my tip bead, work my tip, apply my cuticle bead, and then I go back and apply an apex bead after it has dried a bit, because I'm just finding that with the room being cold, it was running a little bit too much, and I couldn't get my beads to stay put where they were. So I had to wait for the product to dry a little bit before creating an apex. So that's what I did. I just basically encapsulated the nails, each nail separate, worked on the next nail, and then went back and added an apex just to make sure that all the nails had full strength on all the nails, proper apex, full encapsulation of all that glitter. So sometimes you'll have to go back and apply more clear acrylic if it's needed. So that's what I did. So after I did that on all the nails, they are dry enough to file. So I'm coming in with the same carbide I used earlier, but I'm using a really light hand. I'm just using this to debulk the nails. I go around the cuticle area to start, and then I just go down the nail, and I basically just file any bit of the nail that is a little bit too thick in one spot, just anything that needs debulking that I don't want to do with my hand file. So I just carefully, especially at the tip, go down the nail, try to make it nice and thin and even while keeping my apex in place. After debulking the nails, then I go in with a hand file. So I'm going in with a 150 grit hand file from Glitterbels. I file my sidewalls, and then I'm just carefully going around the cuticle area, trying not to touch the skin. You don't want to cut your client or aggravate their skin or anything, so make sure that you're just a little smidgen away from their skin while you're filing around the cuticle area. And then I just shape the nail and file the nail and try to even it out. So I go underneath the sidewalls, and then I round out my sidewalls like this. I do that on both sides. I also go up and down at the tip to make sure that the point is really pointy and really, really sharp. Because I spend that extra time shaping the nails when I sculpt and then file them into the shape that I want before application, I find finish filing is so much easier to do. Just a little debulk and then file the shape, just refine the shape with your hand file. So as long as you apply it the way you want it to look, mostly at the end, then it's a lot easier to finish file. So after I finish filing, I brush off all the dust on the nails, and then I just do one wipe of pure acetone over the acrylic nails, and it'll just get rid of any scratches that were left behind. I do buff as well, but I didn't show that on camera. So what I'm using now is my Luminary Nail Systems matte top coat. So I'm only top coating the pinky finger and the pointer finger, and that's because I'm doing a design on top, so that the top coat needs to go down first, and I wanted these nails to be matte. So the Luminary Nail Systems matte top coat dries to a tack-free finish, so I really like that because it's super, super matte after it's been cured. So I put it in light, it's been cured, and now we're going in. Here I'm using my Bemi Beauty Box Metal Leaf Gels in gold. I love the metal leaf gels, they are amazing. So what I'm doing here is kind of like just placing it on the nail. I'm not trying to make it look like anything. This is like an abstract design. So I learned this technique actually from Selena Ryden, and there's another girl named Puro Nails on Instagram who did something similar as well. So I will link both of those people in my description box for inspiration for you guys. So I cure that, and then I work on the next nail and cure that. So the one hand's in the light, and I'm working on this one. So I'm just using the Bemi Beauty Box gel brush to apply this. You just want to do a thin coat, place it down, and then you can apply a little bit more over top just to fill it in. It's super, super pigmented, so you don't really need a lot. That's why the jars are only 5 grams, but they last forever because you really don't need that much. And it builds up really nicely and stays really thin. So I absolutely love these. So I'm placing that on the nail and she's curing that. Hand is out of the light, and now I'm going to go in and add top coat only on the gold. And I'm not curing this yet. I'm just applying the top coat. Then I'm going to be doing the bubble technique you guys have probably seen everywhere. I'm late to the bubble technique here because I actually did this last like a month or two ago, and I am just really behind in all my videos. So you take dish soap and water, and the more you stir it, the smaller the bubbles will be. So I just stirred it, and then I'm picking up the bubbles with a straw, wiping it over top. Don't touch your top coat, just put the bubbles on your top coat and cure them. And then after they're cured, this is how it looks. So you actually can't tell that much, but it does look like a cool textured design in person. In the video here, you can't really see the texture that much, but it was really cool. So what I'm doing here is I'm just using a small, thin art brush. This is from Get Buff Nails. I accidentally bent it, so it kind of looks bent in this, but I actually have a new one, so it's all good. So I'm just using the black and white from Light Elegance, the buttercreams. I just find them a little easy to work with, so that's why. I just picked up some product on my brush. I filled the whole brush with product, and then I'm just touching the nail and pulling down. So touch the nail and then just pull. You don't want to put pressure down on the nail, or else you'll accidentally make your lines too thick, and that won't look as good. So you want nice thin lines, and I'm kind of overlapping the lines. If it's not perfect, it's okay. It's supposed to look like an abstract design. And I'm going to add some crystals as well in a sec. Okay, so after that, I'm going to give that a full cure, and now we can work on adding some crystals. So on this nail, I'm just using my Ugly Duckling Stick It gel type glue and placing it down in the center here, and then I'm picking up a crystal with a crystal picker upper. I'm placing that in the Ugly Duckling Stick It, and then I'm going in with these little gold caviar type beads. I'm trying to make this nail kind of look like jewelry, which I think is like the prettiest crystal design, is when it kind of looks like a piece of jewelry. So I feel like the little beads look like tongs, like when you have like a ring or whatever. So that's why I added the beads. So I gave that a cure so everything would stay exactly where I want it. And then I'm going to just keep playing around and adding crystals and beads as well. So I'm here, I just did the one, now and added beads around it, and then I'm doing another one. So the colors I'm using are just crystal, clear, and vintage rose. I gave that a cure, and now I'm coming in and doing that exact same design on the bottom. Gave that a cure, and then now I'm adding some small crystals. So I cure in between just so nothing moves, because I don't know, I just want it to stay exactly where I put it. So after that nail is done and cured, I'm just adding more crystals to the rest of this design because I loved this set so much. I thought they turned out so pretty, and crystals just make it look even extra more special. So I'm adding a big matching crystal to the middle finger on the ring finger button crystal, and then I'm gonna surround it with the vintage rose and crystal clear and beads. So after that nail is done on this finger, I'm just adding small crystals in the center. I thought that that would be so pretty, and I thought it turned out so cute. So these nails are technically done. I did go over them. I didn't show you guys this, but I did wipe this nail down just to make sure that if any of those gel lines still tacky or sticky. So I wiped those off. And now I'm completely done this design, and we can top coat fully. So I'm using my Glitterbels No Wipe Top Coat. And this is going to be shiny. The 3 nails are going to be shiny, and then the other 2 nails are staying exactly how they are with the matte underneath and then the shiny abstract design. So you don't want to get top coat on your crystals. Make sure you avoid your crystals. Just go around them and let the top coat kind of seep underneath and around, and then they'll stay the whole time. And then here is how the thumb looks. I love the thumb. It turned out so pretty. So I gave that top coat a full cure. I put cuticle oil on, like I said, to replenish the oil and had her wash her hands. And now her skin looks nice and supple all over again. And here is my finished design. I love this set. I came up with this set design just one night randomly. I was sitting there thinking, and I was like, oh my god, this is what I want to do. And I wrote it all down. I drew it all out. And then I had the perfect client for it because she loves long stilettos. So it turned out literally exactly how I envisioned it. So I'm really happy with this set. So I hope you guys like this tutorial and how long it was. Lately you guys have been requesting long tutorials, so I've been trying to deliver. So if you like long tutorials, please give me a thumbs up. Please leave me a comment. Interaction helps my channel grow and lets me know what you guys want to watch. Check back for more tutorials. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!